pleasure and prayer. Is that true for each of you? Yeah? Well, congratulations. I know the first thing to drop off of when I run out of time, it's usually prayer. Because I'm not going to miss my pleasure. I seldom miss my rest, and well, we all got our work to do, right? I read an open book. I read it for the entertainment. I read about his life and how he lived it so frustrated. It told how he might trade it all or even give it all away to just live life in the moment and live it his own way. And now I'm flipping through the pages, looking for the illustrations. I wonder, I've had my share of complications. Could I trade it all or even give it all away to just capture life's moments before they fade away? Live life for the moment, because it won't wait for you. This could be the start of something new. This could be the start of something new. We're told pain pushes until the vision pulls, caught in this cycle until the truth unfolds. Accepting our good from where it flows, yearning to be free. This could be the start of something new, something beautiful and true, so uniquely you. Don't trap yourself upon a shelf when there's so much yet to do, because this could be the start of something new. This moment could be the start. Are you ready? Let's do it. I'm going to talk today about taking action, inspired action, divine right action, educated, determined, conscious, and deliberate action. Not inaction, not procrastination. Is that a word? You know, we've all done that. We know what is ours to do, but it may seem difficult or out of reach or unknown, so we fill the gap with something else. We fill the void with what relatively could be defined as inaction on our part. So the 5 basic principles, we all know them. What I'm going to challenge you to do this week is to find how they fit in your daily life. Let's say them together real quick. God is, I am, I ask, I pray, I act. That's a real simple way to remember them. If we go any further than that, it's going to take a little bit of contemplation. God is the one true power active in my life. Charles Fillmore liked to say, Mother, Father, God. Divine mind, divine substance. Father God is mind. Mother God is the substance that cradles us. Together, they create the energy and the interplay of the universe to bring forth the expressions that we desire. I am in the likeness of God. I am, that great I am. From here, this is where our conscious observer resides. That part of us that knows the truth and is constantly reminding us where to turn left, where to turn right, where to stay our course if we listen. God through us, as us. Superconscious, subconscious. We get down now to where the work gets done. I ask. This is the law of attraction. What I focus on expands. Unities, denials, and affirmations are in this realm right here. We shape and mold substance, starting with mind. We move into prayer and meditation when we release that. We get a quickening of spirit in our quiet time. What's left to do? To take all that we know and act on it. What happens if we don't? Faith without action is dead, right? I like to think of it as being in your car and the motor's running. You're revving up the gas, making a lot of noise, but it's in neutral and you ain't going nowhere, you know? So action is what it takes. Action only happens in the now moment. So my talk is titled, This Could Be the Start. 3.5 years ago, I quit smoking. I was a pretty heavy smoker for most of my life. I didn't want to focus on the ill effects of smoking because I knew that would only compound the problem. So I just accepted the fact that I enjoy it, and one day I'm going to quit. Well, that one day finally came. I made a conscious decision, deliberate, to identify myself as a non-smoker, and from that day forth, I've never picked up a pack of cigarettes again. Thank you. It takes that kind of deliberate and conscious determination on our part to step into action, and the universe will support us. If there's doubt, uncertainty, then there's chaos. If there's chaos, there's trapped energy. And what does that do? That brings pain, discomfort, illness. Unfortunately, we cannot erase our history like sometimes the public schools might do. They rewrite it. We can't do that. I have to claim the fact that I was a smoker for 30 plus years. I accept it. I've moved beyond it. There's no trapped energy. There's no regrets. You can't live with that. Claim your history. It's the culmination of everything that's brought you to this point. Accept it, redefine it, and move on. Speaking of definitions, we experience life based on our perceptions. Our perceptions are cumulative of our definitions of what we see. You go out in the morning, the air is crisp, the sky is blue. Everything in life has a definition, and because of that, it's easy to keep it locked in place. So we don't have to keep recategorizing things every morning. It's not, it's not a new day every morning. I want to talk about action in the finer details on a life that's comfortably working. All of us, I can assume, have a life that's comfortably working for us. I want to visit some of the finer details that we can drill down and make that work even better. So, if we reinforce our perceptions with the labels we place on our reality, and we cement that in, there's little left for us to do, is there? What is ours to do is then to look beyond that, continue to look for the abstract, for the mystery. Look in the shadows. Try and find something that appears a little bit different and maybe beyond our perceptions and definitions. We all know if 3 or 4 of us were in a room experiencing the same event, and then we're later questioned about that or told our experience of that event, you're going to have 3 or 4 different experiences of that event. Why is that? We all align with what matches our perceptions of reality. And that's what we're going to see. That's the filters we're looking through. Well, we have to ask ourselves, are we so sure that our perception is the most valid? We have the desired effect that we want our life to experience in our life. We have the actual experience of life. We put that desire out there. We experience the actual. Is the variance between the desired and the actual acceptable in your life? If it's acceptable, that's great. If it's just acceptable or almost acceptable, you've got more work to do, because what should it be? More than enough. This or something better, always, at all times. Stepping into the mystery, more than we ask for. We live in a pretty fast-paced culture. I mean, we've got social media, we've got TV, we've got politics, the left, the right. I want to stay center. Like the Chinese say in the Tai Chi movement, carry tiger, return to mountain. That's after a long day of out wrestling the tiger. Return to center. We've got to remember to do that. Step out of the fast-paced culture that we live in. Release our perceptions and definitions of what is, our biases. Return to the secret place of the Most High that is within you. What we focus on expands, so we don't want to focus on freedom from limitations, do we? I didn't want to focus on the fact that, man, I got to quit smoking. No, I want to focus on the fact that I'm a non-smoker. I don't want to focus on previous behaviors that don't work, or surroundings or people or places or circumstances that I think might dictate my experience. We want to detach from those emotions, from those labels, and be a witness to what is true and real. We don't want mediocre participation on our part. The journey of 1,000 miles, we've heard it, starts with one step. If you're going to journey 1,000 miles, you want every step to count, don't you? I've known people that have 20 years experience with something they claim. Come to find out, it's 1 year of experience 20 times over. We got to make those steps count. We got to keep moving forward, learning, growing, ever evolving. We got to ask ourselves the hard question. Do circumstances dictate our lot in life? Are we willing to look behind the appearance of those circumstances? Are we willing to get in touch with our feelings and what they're really trying to tell us? We might discover that we dictate our circumstances by creating them. Is this happening to me, or is this happening through me? It's a hard question to ask yourself. Are we really choosing to show up different if we want to make a change in our life in a positive direction? It's easy. I'm an honest person, good values. We can show up in life honest, full of integrity, compassion for humanity. But then when we're alone with our thoughts, with the work that is ours to do, I've been known to lie to myself. Yeah. And I can tell myself, well, I'm doing that which is mine to do, so it's all good. So we're pretty good at disguising what needs to be done, and there again, bringing forth apprehension, chaos in our life. Because that which is within us seeks expression. And if we don't release it, what happens? It tears us up, right? It tears us up inside. When Sue asked me to do this talk, she sent me a text. Hey, there's several of us thought you should probably give a talk if you're willing to do it. I'm like, texting her back, oh no. I'm like, I actually wrote the words, I'm in a really safe, comfortable place in my life right now, Sue. I don't know if I want to do that. I'll think about it. I'm like, if I do something like that, it makes me accountable. And she said, that's okay, I understand. Immediately, what began to happen? Yeah. Well, immediately, God rushes in and says, hey, this is the moment. Take action. And it wasn't long after that, I texted her back and said, yeah, Sue, I'm going to do a talk on taking action, recognizing the moment. We've heard this quote many times. Johann von Goethe, when we commit ourselves to something fully and completely and step into it, providence moves. All sorts of things occur to help us that we wouldn't have never dreamed possible. All streaming from the decision to act. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy. Okay? Plan B is hesitancy, an escape hatch. We can't have that. We have to step into the mystery, step into the unknown if you don't know what it's going to look like. Anything less than total commitment on our part will breed more uncertainty, and that will show up in your life. There's another tag on the end of this. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. This was written by a different author and added in at another time. And the other parts of that all stem from a similar writings over a course of 100 and 150 years that says close to the same thing. Indecision brings its own delays. Days are lost lamenting over days. Are you in earnest? Seize this very moment. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, boldness has magic, genius, and power in it. Only engage it and the mind grows heated. Begin it and the work will be completed. One more version I found of this goes back to 1834. What's left undone today is still not done tomorrow. To every day there is a use and a purpose. Let resoluteness promptly seize the forelock of the possible. And then, reluctant to let go again, she's forced to carry on and be productive. That's what happens in our life. We're forced into action, one way or another. Go big or go home, right? I've heard that. Have you all heard that before? Have you ever been told that? How many of you subscribe to that? I know there's some of you. You don't have to raise your hand. I've known people like that, and I'll tell you, they live in bounty and beauty, or they're happily starting all over again. I'm more calculated than that. I choose to determine my risk factor based on more decisions than chance. But if that works for you, good. But we do know playing small does not serve the world, right? Is there a happy medium? We know playing huge may not serve the world either. It has its ramifications. Is there middle ground? You know, the middle ground might be mediocrity. Once again, that's not acceptable. In Latin, mediocrity translates to halfway up the mountain. So, are you happy there? I'm not. Mediocrity, neutrality, there's no action in that, and there's certainly no benefit in that. So we have to choose to commit either to continue that climb up the mountain, continue to do the work that is ours to do to maintain our healthy lifestyle, or choose to take the descent down that mountain. One way or another, if you don't choose, things are still going to happen. Creation is going to carry on. It's going to breed some kind of experience in your life. Anything short of our full participation. Otherwise, there's conflicts and uncertainty, which only takes us halfway up the mountain. So like I said, I'm a student of Unity. You know, when I started Unity 30 years ago, there was a Unity School of Practical Christianity, you know, and I don't know what they call it now, the Institute or something. Our tagline is Positive Practical Christianity. I thought, well, that really sounds good. I like to think I live a practical life. I'm a problem solver. I'm informed. I'm established. And then I found this quote. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I chanced upon that quote this week, and I'm like, oh my God, now I have to redefine what practicality means in my life. I can't rest in that anymore. Practically there. It's not there, is it? Practically the same. Have you ever been told, oh, it's practically the same? Well, it ain't the same, is it? So, practicality is a good tool. Let's understand its uses, but it's not the end result. Constantly, there is an ebb and flow and a change, beckoning our action. As you can see, I tagged it with God speaks to us all, always in ways we can understand, impressing knowledge upon us. And it seems sometimes so easy that, no, I've created that in my mind, in my illusion, my ego, or maybe my imagination, my anticipation of the event. Surely it ain't that easy. Well, I'm here to tell you it is that easy. That's how God speaks to us. If we don't listen, we all know the ramifications from that, right? It gets louder. It keeps getting louder until we breed conflict in our workplace, in our relationships, in our church, in our society. You know, internally, we keep plastering it out there in the world that we perceive. Everything's happening in here until we're eventually hit with that cosmic 2x4 that forces us to take action. So listen to those still small voice. It will speak to you. That which you seek also seeks you. What we focus on expands. We will always reap more good than we sow. We will never reap the full extent of our error thinking. That's simple math. It really is, right? We've all heard these quotes before. That which you seek seeks you. Joseph Campbell said that. That means we step in the direction of our desire. Our desired experience rushes in to support us. What we focus on expands. Like I said earlier, we want to focus on our heart's desire, not our limitations. I'm going to try and go through a few slides here real quick. Add a little bit of science to this. The mere fact that someone is embodied makes our perceptions somewhat distorted, somewhat inaccurate, somewhat of an illusion. The findings of quantum physics increasingly support Plato. There is evidence that suggests the existence of a non-material, non-physical universe that has reality, even though it may not as yet be clearly perceptible to our senses and scientific instrumentation. When we consider events like out-of-body experiences, shamanic journeys, lucid dream states, they cannot be replicated in a scientific sense, but they do point to existence of a non-material dimension of reality. Albert Einstein said, life is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. He was at home with the invisible. He studied and brought to us so many things that are still being proven out, nearly 100 years later. So these experiences like out-of-body, lucid dreaming, transcendental meditation, they all suggest consciousness exists beyond our current scientific explanations. Science assumes that our consciousness is a result of neurological chemical reactions within our brain. That's been science. There's a lot of science right now that's changing that. Quantum physics. There's a study right now on particle entanglement. I don't know if any of you have heard that. Particle entanglement. They've actually split particles, rejoined them. Watch what happens when one's acted upon. Well, here's what happens. When one's acted upon, the other one is acted upon. A particle is capable of being in two places at the same time when two particles become entangled. They lose their identity, yet exchange information beyond time and space, distance of separation, even if the other has long since been destroyed. A future decision can affect a past state of the particle. That is phenomenal for me to think about. What's possible within the realm of that understanding. What if you and your soulmate are entangled across time and space? What if you want to speak to your older self as a young child, or as an adult you want to speak to your young child self? I've done it. Take it to heart that it's real. What if you accept the idea of reincarnation, that all of our lives are happening simultaneously, entangled. That kind of would explain deja vu a little bit, maybe knowing people that we've never met before. This all happens to each of us. We know consciousness exists beyond what we're capable of understanding. I'm just going to fly through a couple of slides here to wrap it up. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. That's pretty real to me. But that's real dense energy. We already know everything, matter taken down to its smallest part, is energy. And what science has learned, rather than just our looking at it through a microscope affects it. We all know that, right? Our observation affects what we're observing. What they say now is our observation creates the test result that we're observing. That's pretty huge. We motivate that electron to move in the direction that we would expect. So there's a lot of theoretical science going on right now. If we take to heart that as observers we have that effect on our reality, how important is it now to properly define our realities? More important than ever. You can't take a certain bit of knowledge and discredit it. If you prove it to be true, then you act on it. There's no escaping it. On this slide here, like I say, a pinhole of light expands in the darkness. A pinhole of hope can expand into creating an expression of love beyond any anticipation or expectation. Let our faith be that pinhole of light. Let our conviction hold the strength needed to be observant and align with corrective behavior. Charles Fillmore had a lot to say about divine substance and divine mind and shaping and molding it. I'm going to blow right past this because I'm running out of time. But if you stop and think about it, there's no scarcity of the air you breathe. There's plenty of air, all you'll ever need. If you try to separate yourself from it, eventually you're going to pass out, but you're going to start breathing again, right? The same is true for our creations and manifestations. It's going to happen, with or without us. It's autonomic. All right. So, to close things today, I'd like to say, don't be afraid of the unknown. Do we know where the unknown is? Do we know where the known is? We like to think everything behind us is already known, right? We've traveled through it. Everything ahead of us is the unknown. I like to think it's just the opposite of that. Everything ahead of me is what I'm clearly defining and categorizing all the time. What's behind me? Sure, maybe I've experienced it. Maybe the unknown is back there just rushing in to support me. Don't be afraid of the unknown. If you're at the edge of what you know to be true, maybe with your back against the wall, know that the universe is biased towards love and beauty. Step with confidence forward into the unknown. To do that, it needs to be done by you. Namaste. Thank you.